Yes!
Actually great.
Oh my God!
Crankworx World Tour, we are back. What is up? Thanks for joining us out here today. We're zooming in from space to BC. We must be in Whistler, right? Nope, not 2021. We are taking the show on the road. Stop one of our 3-part road trip here, Sun Peaks Resort. We've been going to Whistler for years. Let's check out what other world-class bike parks BC has to offer. We'll get in the cars, we'll drive to Kicking Horse in a couple days here, and then we'll finish it all off. Silver Star. We're even gonna have a slopestyle out there. This is the Crankworx World Tour 2021. We're calling this stop number 2, but it is 3 stops, and we're absolutely delighted to be here in person, not like last year where I was in my garage talking to you, wishing I was riding Sun Peaks Bike Park. We're actually hanging out alongside the dual slalom course, and that's how we're going to kick it off here today. We've got rounds of 8 for the men and women, and a beautiful course. The crew here at Sun Peaks has absolutely delivered an incredible course that we're going to talk a lot more about here in a minute. A total equalizer. We're seeing lots of different riders choosing different bikes. But thank you out there for joining us, mountain bike race fans. I'm your host, Cam McCall, and I'm joined by Alan Cook over here. We're going to be breaking all the racing action down for you in the specialized dual slalom Sun Peaks. And we've already had some great racing today, and the stage is set with the round of 8 for the men and the round of 8 for the women.
Yeah, some super good racing in the round of 16 this morning. You know, the course is starting to dry out. We had a little bit of rain. It's fall time, all time, and you know this course is diabolical today. We got some ruts, we got some off-camber flat turns. It's really going to put the riders to the test and their bike choice. It's really going to be a thinker's game out there today.
It's kind of a great time to be at Sun Peaks Resort. You think about, you know, summer in BC, you're talking dust, you're hoping for some rain. We got rain, like you said, and the trails are absolutely immaculate. A little bit of mud on the course for the first practices yesterday, but now the course is dried out. They had the tiger torches out there, and there's actually, you know, kind of, you've been calling it the equalizer, this course out here, because we've got some rutted out berms, but we're seeing some very interesting bike choices out there. We're seeing everything from, you know, a typical slalom bike, small, short travels, to long travel trail bikes, and even some downhill bikes out there. But a beautiful day for racing here today. No rain like yesterday. The sun is out, and the stage is set for some incredible dual slalom racing. So we talked about this course a little bit, and if you don't believe me, let's just hop on board for our course preview here in the specialized dual slalom Sun Peaks. Take a look.
Hey, I'm Keelani Hines.
And I'm Haz.
And this is a specialized dual slalom course preview here at Sun Peaks.
Woo!
Flat corners! Wow! And that was a specialized dual slalom course preview here at Sun Peaks. Yo! Oh my God. Whew.
So rhythm sections, very, very steep berms, flat corners, and ruts. This course kind of has it all. What do you make of this track there, Alan?
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, you know, kind of calling out the equalizer. It's going to call on all skills and talents. Some of the things that are maybe out of the ordinary for these racers on a slalom track, there is actually a couple of braking zones where you need to break into some stuff over that stall pad. You know, if you go too fast, you're going to land flat and you're going to lose your momentum. So the riders are going to be braking into there. And I think it's out of about turn 4. There's actually a spot in the middle of the course where they really got to get on their pedals in order to keep their momentum going through the track. So it's really going to call on, you know, precise turning down in the bottom. It's going to be strong pedals, smart braking. It's really going to take everything that they got out there.
So a deep international field out here for our racing today. Some big names on the quali list we were checking out this morning. And then the round of 16 just finished moments ago. Let's take a look at how that went. It was pretty heated racing to be able to cut our field in half and break it down to our round of 8. So things kicked off here. This was a really interesting free ride heat here. The number 8 and number 9 qualifiers. Cami Nogueira going up against Robin Gooms. Cami Nogueira just coming off a big win at Proving Grounds, a free ride competition, the first to feature a women's category. She's running that downhill bike. That's what she's been on all this month. And Robin Gooms, you remember Innsbruck, she was backflipping. And Cami Nogueira moves into the round of 8. Now Emmy Land, another new fresh name on our list here. It's kind of interesting to see what we have. We got a lot of veterans established, but a ton of riders on our list who this is their first dual slalom at a Crankworx event.
Yeah, this is Emmy's first dual slalom. She's out there on the 29er trail bike, so she's going to have a little more rolling resistance, a little more traction. It's going to be a little harder to get the acceleration going, but she's making it work for her and getting in the round of 8.
So Via Verbeek was our number 1 qualifier. Keilani Himes was our number 2, and so that is who's going to go up against our number 1 and 2. Let's move things over to the men. Bas van Steenbergen, our number 1 qualifier, going up against the 16 seed Mikey Hatterer.
Yeah, Baz just looking on point for this race. You know, he came in with a little bit different mentality than he had with some of the other ones. He's not trying to be flashy, you know, he's just trying to hit his marks and get things done, and I think that's what it's going to take on a track like this.
So there's our first peek at Bas for the day. It's always nice to be able to watch your number 1 qualifier and just see if they're visually on another level from the rest of the field. Mikey keeping him honest right there, but no big surprises. Bas van Steenbergen moving into the round of 8. And then when we look at our brackets, we're always thinking, all right, do we have a collision course between our number 1 and our number 2 qualifier? In this case, number 2 qualifier, Thomas Slavic. Take a look.
Sorry.
Yeah, Slavic looking good in mid-course, and you see the competitor there has a big body bag, hits in there. He just lost a little bit of traction coming out of that turn and really slammed him on the ground really hard. Slavic cruises to the win, and he's also moving on to the round of 8.
So Dylan Crane was the David looking to take out the Goliath there, but Slavic looking absolutely unstoppable there. So it's going to be interesting to see how our brackets go. There we go. Good sportsmanship out here. Crankworx dual slalom. Will we see a collision course between Bas van Steenbergen and Thomas Slavic? There's some youngsters in the field out there as well who are able to make it out of the round of 16. Keep your eyes peeled for guys like Tegan Cruz and Garrett Meacham. Tegan Cruz, 15 years of age, and make it into the round of 8 could be pretty interesting. And our bracket's looking pretty good right now. Like I say, a good balance between some of those veterans you expect to see out here and some of those rising stars looking to kind of make a name for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a quick track. It's so intense. You know, these young riders, they come in, they got nothing to lose. They got everything to prove, and they're just laying it all out there on the line. And you know, look at how many riders we've seen in the past kind of make their break in slalom. I can think of Cody Kelly, you know, Rich Hausman, maybe if we're going way back. There's tons of riders that really sort of made their statement in this event. So I'm really excited to see these young riders come through.
This event format is absolutely a favorite amongst many riders out there. Like you say, it's a springboard for new talent to launch their careers. Let's talk a little bit about the format for dual slalom.
All right, here we go. Dual slalom.
Dual slalom is all about head-to-head racing. Run what you run. 2 side-by-side courses.
Watch the gate and fit it.
Head back up, switch courses, do it again.
Fastest combined time advances. Easy, right?
Simple as that, right? You heard it right there from the horse's mouth. I guess the cow's head. You go side by side, which, you know, you're not worried about passing, but it really does affect you when you're elbow to elbow with the other rider, doesn't it?
Absolutely. When you see that other rider out of the corner of your eye and you're not sure, you know, are you an inch ahead? Are they an inch ahead? It really gets your focus really honed in on the thing you need to do. And in today's track with the ruts and the shadows and the diverse conditions, it's going to take all the concentration to get from top to bottom.
There we go. We see Cami Nogueira getting ready to hop into that gate. Let's look at our brackets, Alan.
Yeah, they're looking good. We got the number 1 qualifier, Via Verbeek, going against New Zealand. Grooms, that's going to be a really good one. That's a traditional slalom bike going against a downhill bike. And then we got Brown and Burbidge-Smith. Our winner in Innsbruck, Burbidge-Smith. So this is going to be a good round.
So yeah, Harriet Burbidge-Smith coming off of that big win in Innsbruck, looking to carry that momentum here.
She's going
So
to
here
have
we
a
go.
little
Sorry,
extra.
Robin Gooms. So Robin Gooms backflipping in Innsbruck, and it definitely just opened up the eyes of all the other women going, wow, look what we can do. It's a big movement right now for women's freeride, but it's really cool to see Robin out here racing dual slalom as well. No jumps on the course here, so it's all about speed. And she was able to knock out Cami Noguera and make it into this round of 8. But she's going up against your #1 qualifier, Via Verbeek, so not an easy path here.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Gate comes down, such an important part of this race. Via comes out with the instant advantage. So Grooms, she picked up a little bit of space there in those first ruts. She's on that downhill bike, so she's gonna have a little bit more of a challenge getting that momentum going. There's that pedal spot I was talking about. But Via looking flawless coming through the last turn into the flat section.
Ladies are earning their way here.
Grooms keeping her honest.
Qualifying and through the round of 16.
So Via through the line first, Robin Gooms 1.1 back. So Via just looking insanely strong. What have Bass and Via been doing in the offseason for training? You know, obviously they've been scheming appropriately for this moment. #1 qualifiers in both the men's and the women's field. Moment to put all that training to the test right now.
Yeah, this is it. You know, we're into September. This is towards the end of the season, so you know they're going to be putting it all on the line here. Looking forward to a nice winter, maybe train, get their bodies ready for next season. So this is it. This is the series. They're going to put it all out there.
So big difference in bike choice here. Harriet Burbidge-Smith on the little bike, Casey Brown on the big bike. What do you think is better for this course, Alan, if you had to choose?
You know, there's pluses and minuses to both. You know, Casey's going to she's got a little bit bigger tires, so she's going to find her way through the ruts a little better. You know, Harriet, she's going to have a little bit better acceleration. You can see right there she comes out of the gate with a solid bike lead into the first turn. But this is where Casey, Bainbridge down. You can hear Casey, the sportsmanship, still on track asking her if she's okay.
How about that? That's that same section we saw in our round of 16 highlight package of another big crash there.
Yeah, it's a tricky section, so Casey's going to get the max benefit going into round 2, and Harriet's going to have her work cut out for her.
So Casey, the #5 qualifier, Harriet, the #4 qualifier. So obviously, pretty tight matchup there, but Casey's going to have that maximum advantage going into the next round. Let's take a look back at what went wrong here for Harriet.
Watch her front tire there. Runs a little high coming off of that shark fin. You see the big shadow there? It's so hard to judge where everything is. What's a hole, what's a bump, what's a shadow? These are very technical conditions for a slalom track.
We've got good microphones along the course. You hear Casey right away. Are you okay?
Yeah, Casey always the #1 sports person out there, making sure her fellow riders are good.
So we're going to get our next heat loaded up in the gate, but take a look at some of the desired bike choices out here. You know, this being a slalom, you don't typically see the big Maxxis DHF, but with the fact that we had some rain and we had some flat corners, you're going to see some riders going for the bigger meat up front, that 2.5. And so anything from you know, really short travel, 80 millimeters, all the way up to what you typically see is, you know, the high end of suspension travel for slalom, 120, but you know, you just saw Casey out there with a 170, 160 bike, and you will see more downhill bikes as we work our way through our brackets out here. As you see right now, 2018, Danielle Beecroft won the slalom in Whistler riding the downhill bike, and at the time, that was a big story. You never see anybody choosing a downhill bike, but I saw her yesterday pushing both bikes up the hill, so she had the option. She chose the downhill bike. Now she's going up against Gracie Hemstreet.
Yeah, Gracie Hemstreet, no stranger to competition. Bronze medal in the junior women's category, this year's UCI World Champs. They're keeping each other honest. These courses are very, very competitive, and they're also very, very similar in speed. There's no real advantage out there, so they're putting it down as hard as they can each run, both sides.
Gracie Hemstreet, though.
Coming down to these technical off-camber flat turns. And the downhill bike crossing the line first. Beecroft has that downhill bike honed in for slalom. She's making it work.
So we saw more issues in that same left-hand corner that kind of ends in a bit of a shark fin feature. We saw Dylan Crane going down in the round of 16. and we saw a crash on it last run, and now take a look. It's challenging. I mean, it's almost like they're diving into the middle and at risk of putting that front tire over the top. She was able to salvage it.
Yeah, Gracie making a little save there. Almost did the same thing as Bainbridge with the front wheel going over the shark fin there. I think it's that shadow going into the turn, Cam.
I was actually riding yesterday right around sunset. There was a lot of that going on as well, as that sun right in your eyes, and going from light to dark a lot of times on this course can throw off your perception.
It's getting that time of the season. You know, the days are getting shorter and the sun's getting lower, so shadows are playing a factor.
So Keilani, your #2 qualifier, we caught up with her a little bit earlier. Here's what she had to say.
Cornering is almost everything. It's a BMX corner one time, it's a flat corner, or just like muddy corner, so it's always different. And you can get out first, but if you can't corner in slalom, you're gonna lose every time, you know? And so I think I've just gained a lot more confidence in cornering going into slalom and like trying to do well at slalom. So I think that's like the biggest thing that's made a difference in my mountain biking.
So we've seen Keilani be so successful on the Crankworx World Tour, and you know, one of the keys to her success, I believe, is kind of identifying what she would perceive to be some of her weaknesses and just really working on those. So you hear right there, she's been working on the cornering, and this course is a perfect place to put all that practice to the test.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Keilani using that BMX experience, a solid gate, taking that early lead about a bike length into the first turn. Gets through that trouble section real smooth.
The gate obviously important in any type of race like this, but with how many corners you have here of all different types, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Yep, you can see there Keilani using the braking zone perfect, getting on the ground and getting the power back down.
Comfortably in the lead. Looking out the
So
side
Keilani
after
Hines crossing first there by 0.9, just under a second. So Keilani looking strong. Obviously, the whole package has to come together. You got to get a good start. You got to be strong in those corners. But I'd say on this course, more than some of the ones we've seen in the past, there's so much time to be made up in those corners, isn't there?
Absolutely, you know, and then there's also the mental side of the, you know, side-by-side competition. You're trying to stay ahead of your competitor, but not pushing too hard. It's really some patience needed down there at the bottom. You can see there, Keilani, no patience out of the gate.
Strong.
It's awesome to see these riders really becoming specialists out there and training and practicing and building courses to be better racers, and they're just elevating the sport one event at a time.
I don't know if it's the full red pants and jersey, but Keilani just looks fast today. You know, she's got one rider ahead of her in the qualities list. That's Vi Verbeek. You see her name at the very top of the screen there. And you see Keilani Hines at the very bottom of the screen. That's what we love to see in these bracketed forms of racing. We wonder if we're going to see the #1 and #2 qualifier go against each other in the gold medal round. We're getting closer to that moment here. Run 1's in the books there for the round of 8 in the women's field.
And also one to keep an eye on, you can see Brown and Burbidge-Smith. Brown with the max lead there, so that's that Burbidge. She had that incident where she went down on that shark fin where that shadow is really causing people some trouble. You can see Casey pushing back up the hill. That's another thing, is each run on this is it's quite physical to get your bike up the hill. We're in the middle of a ski hill here, so it's a long walk up, and these guys and girls are really trying to conserve their energy, but really be ready to push it on the track.
In the middle of a ski hill, but also in the middle of a series. You know what? We've got the king and queen of Crankworx points on the line for absolutely every single event here now. And we love to follow that story. Take a look at how this whole king and queen overall series works. Whole lot of racing in the next 10 days. We're going to be able to see 3 of the best bike parks in the world. Sun Peaks today. We'll work our way over to Kicking Horse and then finish things off for Crankworx BC 2021 at Silver Star Bike Park. But it's really interesting to see some of those some of those top runners in the men's category for the King of Crankworx overall coming from the slopestyle in Innsbruck, which was an insane show. And a lot of those riders you don't see competing in dual slalom. So this is a big opportunity for some of these riders who showed up to Crankworx BC to inch their way up that leaderboard.
Yeah, for sure. You bet that there's about half the competitors out there that have that King and Queen title on their mind. And this is the first event of this series, so you know it's a battle of attrition. You could definitely overdo it in the first event and you know, put yourself in a hole. So these riders are conserving, but they're really pushing it.
Yeah, so Bas van Steenbergen, if you remember, Rotorua 2020 was on fire, leading the overall points for the King of Crankworx title, and then, you know, it all kind of came crashing down as we weren't really able to continue a normal world tour. So he was present for the Cliff Crankworx Summer Series in 2020, absolutely killed it there, but he's back here now looking to pick up where he left off in early 2020. Something also to note, Alan, is he took the win during the Crankworx Summer Series last year here at Sun Peak Slalom.
Yeah, Baz is phenomenal on the slalom track. You can see they're pedaling up and over. You know, he talks about the only time he'll jump is if he can't roll it. If he can roll it, he will, because he's getting momentum off the backside of every single bump and every single obstacle out there. Look at that, stretching out his lead. Man, he's on fire today. He's gonna be really hard to beat, Cam. 0.844 advantage to Van Steenberg on that one.
So, I mean, we like to cheer on Bas because he's a good dude and he's always a front runner, but also just the opportunity to watch this guy ride is something we never pass up. Just take a look at him over this stall wall here, scrubbing and then absolutely sprinting every opportunity. And like you said, whenever there's an opportunity for speed, a down roller, he's putting his tires in there.
Yeah, definitely. He's got it figured out. You can see when he's leaning in those flat turns, really digging and hooking in. Mick Hanna, fresh off his World Cup retirement. You know, he's out here, everything after that's cream on the top, right? He's having himself a good time, but our 5th place qualifier coming into this. So, you know, don't count Mick out. You know, when he's having fun, he's fast.
So, you know, he qualified 5th today. His top finish in a Crankworx dual slalom is 6th, so he's poised to, you know, better himself in terms of slalom. He's a guy we think of from a long, illustrious World Cup downhill career, but I remember when he burst onto the scene going up against Brian Lopes as like a 16-year-old in slalom way back when at Sea Otter.
Yep, I remember those days too. Going against his teammate here, Mick and Breeden, really, really side by side. They're very, very tight here coming in that uphill section.
That is brutal.
Let's see how they're going to get down on this key section here, this flat turns. It's quite off camber here. It's hard to tell.
Look at
They're
Mick
using that experience.
Look at him go.
Man, Mick is just so good on the bike. He has his body in the exact position it needs to be. His hips and his eyes are pointed out of the turns before he's even in them. You know, I think he's definitely got potential to get into those medal rounds today.
Well, I mean, take a look at what he's got, you know, in front of him right now, though. You know, he's looking great. He's number 5 qualifier, but he's going to be going up against the number 1 qualifier in the round of 4. So, you know, you're going to have to meet up with that number 1 qualifier eventually. Might as well just cut to the chase.
Absolutely, and Mick may be the oldest competitor out here, but we have up next Tegan Cruz, our youngest competitor at the age of 16 years old. You know, he is fast and he is pumped and he's ready to go. He knows he's got all eyes on him, and now's his opportunity to really blow into the scene and make a statement. So I'm pretty excited to see this run. He's going against our buddy here, Lil Rojo, number 6 qualifier. This is going to be a great matchup.
Usually we're talking about Garrett as the youngster, but we've got Tegan here, 15 years old for at least another week. And both of these riders qualifying very, very high. Number 3 for Tegan Cruz and number 6 for Garrett. So this is going to be really tight against the 2 youngsters.
Pretty even out of the gate, looking really tight.
Whoa.
A little bit of
aggressive.
Yeah, a little bit of oversteer out of Garrett out of the turn. They're keeping it really tight, man. This is quite a matchup. Tegan looking really smooth out of that turn, gets back on the ground as fast as he can. Horsepower to the ground.
Looks like Garrett with a slight edge, but Tegan.
Oh, look at
Tegan looking really smooth through those turns. Wow.
Tegan Cruz finishing strong. And I mean, Garrett Meacham was looking so fast and aggressive that whole run. How tall is this 15-year-old too? He's really able to manhandle that bike and put it exactly where the speed's at.
Yeah, both of these riders riding your more traditional slalom option, more of a slopestyle type bike, and you could tell in that run how quick and how maneuverable they were.
Yeah, we got to savor this replay because both of these guys are so efficient on the bike, putting those wheels exactly where the speed sources are. Garrett Meacham coming from not only a race background, but a slopestyle background. He made his debut on the Crankworx slopestyle tour in Innsbruck earlier on. Did well, had a great run, but he's not done racing yet.
This is where Tegan really shines here, down in these off-camera flat turns. You can see his outside foot all the way down, getting the pressure and the weight distributed on the side of knobs so they can hook into the turns. Really, that's the way you get in those turns. You drop your foot, you get your low center of gravity, you hook the tires in, and Tegan was doing it there perfect.
Looks like he uses that long, lanky body to his advantage, put that weight in the right spot. Here we go, Keegan Wright going up against Thomas Slavic, your number 2 qualifier.
These guys are no stranger to the podium at Crankworx Slalom. Both previous winners multiple times.
Slavic, the winner in Austria 3 months ago.
Keegan with a slight advantage, goes a little long there. Slavic pulls it back. Coming into these flat turns, what's it going to be?
With a 2-wheel drift, Thomas now on the gas.
It's too close to call.
That is so close. Look at that.
.003.
Come on now.
So Keegan Wright with barely an advantage. That's basically that race didn't happen.
Yeah, we're going to just be able to let him drag race it out, decide who gets into that round of 4. Keegan right there, just the body position on the bike, really leaned over. That stall wall was impressive.
Yeah, drag race, that was the perfect thing to call it. They were side by side the entire track. It was really hard to see who was in the main. Look at that finish. That's what .003 looks like.
And that's what slalom is all about right there. Tight racing, only one can move into the next round, but check this out. You gotta love that.
And over that jump, Keegan went a little long on the stall wall, and Slavic was able to get back a little bit, but then Keegan on that last straight went all the way. So we can see our top qualifiers are sitting pretty good.
So there we go, stage is set. This will be pretty interesting here. We're seeing strong riding from our top qualifiers, which is to be expected, but you know, something like that drag race we'll see between Slavic and Wright, you know, an opportunity to shake things up a little bit. And speaking of shaking things up a little bit, it's been pretty cool. I mean, we miss being in Whistler for, you know, our classic traditional Crankworx, but what an opportunity to get out here and, you know, put our tires to the dirt in different trails that we haven't ridden before. And, you know, mountain biking is getting so big. There's new trails popping up all over the place. I know you've been involved with a pretty cool initiative. Tell me something about it.
Yeah, I mean, so what we're talking about here is soil searching, and that's what it is specialized, you know, efforts towards trail advocacy. You know, these trails, they don't just come out of nowhere. They don't stay smooth by themselves, and we have tons and tons of new riders coming to the sport. You know, I say, it's kind of a joke at home, I say that mountain biking is America's new pastime, but it's really the world's new pastime, right? So we can kind of see here, these are our boys, the free rads. They do a ton of trail work, and you know, that's one of the things that you got to think about is how are these trails getting built? How can you play a part in keeping these trails that you love maintained? And it's really these individuals that are out there, you know them, you know the trail bosses of all of the spots. And usually these guys, you know, they've dedicated their lives 100% to building these trails. And what soil searching is really out there to do is to legitimize trail building as an actual profession, so these people don't have to give up their lives. So we have guys on payroll, we have soil searching ambassadors all over the world, male and female, that are really champions of, you know, those tastemaker areas where the mountain bike culture is rich and strong, and we can not just keep those areas up to date and riding really well, keep the trails safe, but really find a way to spread the wording and get riders involved and keep these trails going. And that's really what soil searching's after.
And I mean, aside from like knowing what you're doing in terms of trail building, the most sustainable way to build a trail network is to really have the people who are going to be riding it, putting in the time, the TLC, because they have a vested interest, you know, so it's great to see that you guys are pushing that real hard, and, you know, we can never have too many trails, so good on you. We can never have enough slalom racing either, so let's get back to action right here from beautiful Sun Peaks, BC, close to Kamloops. If you're planning a BC road trip, you should do exactly what we're doing. Start off at Sun Peaks, go to Kicking Horse, check out Silver Star. Great time of year to do it right now. We're happy to be here. And we got our next heat in the gate. Robin Gooms from New Zealand going up against your #1 qualifier, Via Verbeek.
No?
So Via's relaxed there on the gate. She knows she's got the advantage. Just has to keep it upright, stay smooth. Keep Gooms right there in her sight. Make sure she doesn't get too far away. Solid gate out of Via. These are also practice runs. You know, if you have that advantage, you know, you got to keep the momentum. It's about building speed throughout the day. So if you let off just because you have an advantage, that's not the way these girls are going to be doing it. You know, these men and women, they're going to be pushing the limits every single run because it's really a building, you know, and that last run needs to be your fastest.
Not only is Robin Gooms rocking the downhill bike, she was foot out in that right-hander.
Yeah, that turn up there is quite messy.
Taking full moto vibes out there.
Yeah, so Via easily through that round one. See Gooms on the chase here coming in. This turn's quite loose. Foot out, flat out. Don't hit the brakes, put the foot out.
I love it.
Coming into this, she kept her honest all the way to the finish. Coming into the finish line here, you can see her gaining, but not going to be enough to advance.
Yeah, Via playing her cards pretty crafty, you know, doing just exactly what she needs to make it into the next round, but also save some energy because you never know who she's going to go up against in the next round. Will it be Casey Brown? Will it be Harriet Burbidge-Smith? Another little insight into some bike setups here. 150 PSI in that fork. Couple clicks of rebound, couple clicks of compression, and boom, that's your setup for Casey Brown right now, rocking that RockShox front fork.
Now remember, Harriet went down in this first matchup, so she's going to have the full amount to make back up, the 1.2. Let's go big or go home, 1.5, excuse me. Harriet, strong gate. This is go big or go home. She's going to have to leave it all on the line. Casey's just got to stay smooth and keep her right there in her sights. Not let her get too far out. Harriet's going to leave it all on the track right here. Quick over the stall wall. But Casey just keeping her honest, staying in front. You know, she, like I was saying, she's not going to let up. You don't want to slow down. You want to just keep building all day long.
Those instances are kind of tough sometimes because you practice to ride the course as fast as you possibly can. Then you're in that situation where one mistake can put you all the way out of the race when you have such a huge advantage. You don't want to ride too over the top to crash, but you can't go too slow either.
Yeah, it was a strong race between both of them. You know, Casey was just a little too strong for Harriet to come back and get that 1.5. You can see she's got the number 13 on her bike with the number plate upside down. Wasn't quite enough to get the bad juju. The number 13 might have got her.
So Casey putting that long travel bike to use in those flat corners.
Yeah, she's going to have a little bit more small bump compliance on that longer travel bike. The 29er wheels are going to absorb those bumps a little bit, and that's going to translate into better traction on those flat turns down there in that bottom grassy area.
So Casey, how's it going? Looking good out there on the slash. I knew you were trying to decide which bike to ride. Do you feel like you made the right decision? It looks like it's working pretty well for you.
Yeah, Cam, I think I made the right choice on this bike. It's pretty wet yesterday, and coming into today, I just thought I'd stick with the same bike and have some grippier tires, so it's been really good.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Looks like you're going up against Via in the next round, so best of luck. Let's see if you can knock her out and just topple down that #1 qualifier.
Right on. Thanks, Cam.
Go get it, Casey. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
So that's always interesting. You know, you make it through, and you're like, it's just a total toss-up who you're going to get pitted against. And when you see that #1 qualifier, you go, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, you know, the adrenaline is turned up, so you know those qualifying times and seeding, you know, it's a glimpse of what you're going to see. But once it's race time, it's really any of these girls win.
Yep, more pressure as we work our way through these brackets here. We're going to figure out who's going to make it into the round of 4 here. Danielle Beecroft with the 1.2 advantage over Gracie Hemstreet. Come on, Gracie. You hear those voices too when you're going, don't you?
Yeah, you hear them. You hear your rider next to you. You see them out of the corner of your eye. There's a lot of things on the track that can affect you and help you go faster. You just got to stay concentrated, stay focused, and Gracie's doing it right now. She's got a lead. Let's see if she can hold it to the finish and gain up. But here comes Beecroft right back at her.
Gracie need more than a second here. I don't feel like not enough for Gracie Hemstreet. Danielle Beecroft's cruising through to the next bracket on that downhill bike, reminiscent of what we saw her do in 2018 in Whistler. Another instance of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Hey, dual slalom bike is a downhill bike if you're Danielle Beecroft.
Yeah, a little bit of a veteran move there, saving some energy towards the end. She could tell just how far ahead Gracie was, so she didn't let her get too far away. That was a perfectly ran first round.
So Keelani Hines, your number 2 qualifier, choosing to go for the Maxxis Dissector with 26 PSI in the front. The Ardent in the back, 28. You typically see, if you're a mountain biker, you know this is the kind of the way we run it, right, Alan? You go a little bit less pressure in the front than the back.
Yeah, for sure. Usually, you know, a good rule of thumb is 2 PSI difference in the front and the rear. You know, you got a little more weight on the back tire, so, you know, you need to have a little more PSI in there. And by having that front end just that 2 PSI softer, you're going to get way more traction and you're going to be able to control your steering a lot better.
You a tire gauge guy or a pinch with the thumb guy?
I feel like my tire gauges either break or the battery dies. I'm more of a hand squeeze guy.
Trust the thumb. All right, Keelani Hines wearing the red. Emmy Land looking if she can possibly take out your number 2 qualifier.
Emmy, another rookie out here in Crankworx Slalom. She's getting quite the introduction. Keelani, a veteran in this sport, looking so smooth and so fast. That Ferrari red kit and bike, you're right, it just looks fast on the track, but she really is going fast.
Keelani now just cruising to victory. Emmy Land.
Yeah, Keelani Hines is absolutely on fire today, so she does exactly what we would expect her to do. She'll be going up against Danielle Beecroft in the round of 4. So look back, let's just kind of savor how on point Keelani Hines is on the bike right now. And it's like, if you're a rider, you know that feeling when you're just having a good day and everything your brain tells your body to do, it delivers that message to the bike. And I feel like that's where we're at with Keelani Hines. She's not only looking good because she's wearing that bright red, looking fast. The cops are going to turn their head. They see her drive by in a bright red car like that. She's actually just putting the bike exactly where it needs to be. And it's all that training, you know, long gap between Innsbruck and now, and you can see who's been doing their work.
Yeah, for sure. Precise is going to be the name of the game here. Looking at the women's bracket, who do we got, Cam?
So Vi, your number 1 qualifier, going up against Casey Brown. Danielle Beecroft on the downhill bike going up against your number 2 qualifier, Keelani Hines. So we say goodbye to Burbidge-Smith, and obviously that's going to shake up the overall points as well. So let's see if our 4 here can capitalize on this opportunity. So you know everybody's just happy to be on course. You know, there's so much uncertainty these days, but when you actually find yourself at one of the best bike parks in the world, rubbing elbows with your best friends and racing, it's kind of what everybody dreams about all year.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a good feeling up on the hill. I was there during the round of 16, and everyone's, you know, the camaraderie and everybody's just having a good time. And it's late in the season. We're just getting this series kicked off, so everyone's relaxed and excited. But I can definitely see the pressure building as we get a little bit further into this road trip.
So we talk about this course, you know, really being a standout on the tour right now, and take a look at some of the time. So the fastest time of the day right there, Bas van Steenbergen's been the quickest down the hill, 24.7. It's kind of a classic length for a slalom course. You know, it's the sprint. When we talk about all the different disciplines we have out here on the Crankworx World Tour, dual slalom is the way we always kick things off. And we started off with the sprint, and we work into some crazier disciplines as we go, but this is the one that kind of epitomizes mountain biking the most, and it's a great spectator event out here as well. Can't wait until we're actually being able to fill this course with spectators in the future.
Absolutely.
Riders ready, watch the game.
So Bas van Steenbergen with a 0.8 over Niels Bensink.
Baz looking so strong, comes out of the gate, doesn't even stop pedaling until the first turn, manages to get power down over all 4 of those rollers. So he knows Bensink's close. He's right there.
Really close. I mean, he's ahead.
His gap is not that much. It's all going to come down to this flat corner section.
So keep in mind, 0.8 is the differential. Look at Bensink. Dude, a 0.5. Wow, only 3/10 away from being able to knock out your #1 qualifier, but Bas van Steenbergen cutting a little bit too close right there.
Yeah, he shut it down a little bit, and I was going to ask, is he that good, or did he get a little lucky right there? That was awesome.
There's no way anybody can differentiate visually 3/10 of a second.
So see this how he pedals? He doesn't get off the pedals from the very first pedal till he's already leaned over in the turn. Just full power all the way down. And like he was, like I was saying before, he's either pedaling or he's pumping. He's just trying to stay as efficient as possible, and he did have to catch up a little bit here. Look how calm and how patient he is. But then he shuts down just a little early, and Bensink almost took advantage of that, pushing through the line. So it's the rider's front tire that breaks the beam, and that's when the time stops. That's why you see him hanging off the back as they shoot across the line, and Bensink was almost there.
Baz looking great on the bike today. Obviously, #1 qualifier, everything's going your way, but that was a little bit too close for comfort. Did you get a little worried there right as you guys were crossing the finish line and he was right next to you?
Yeah, that was really dumb. I kind of cruised through the flat corners to be safe, and then I saw him just pulling away. I was like, oh, that's maybe a little close. But I'm glad it still worked out. That would have been awful if that went his way.
Yeah, we're not ready to see you hang it up for the day yet, Bass. You're the #1 qualifier. You still got work to do, so way to go. 0.3, that was too tight. But we'll see you back up there for the next run.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cam.
So there we go. It's fun being able to throw the headset on him and talk to him right after that. You know,
Yeah, that's good.
He wasn't comfortable with that.
Yeah, he answered the question there. He got a little lucky there. So
here we go. Joe Breeden trailing Mick Hanna by only 0.1. So the teammates, you know, at least one of them is going to make it into the next round, but we got to say goodbye to somebody. Mick Hanna, your #5 qualifier out here today.
yeah, Mick gets a good start. You know, Mick's a previous silver medalist in BMX World Champs when he was a kid, so he's no stranger to this type of riding. He's got a little bit to make up on Breeden. He's keeping him honest.
This is going to be another tight one.
Absolutely. We're getting into the fun ones already.
Keep in mind, 0.1.
This is where Mick shines on these flat turns. Just so precise.
Oh my. Okay, what's it going to be? 0.1, but what was it again? Was it 0.1 what? We're going to have to really, oh my.
0.003 again. That's the second
on.
0.003 split combined.
Okay. Mick Hanna advances, and you know, you got to credit that flat turn prowess down there. You know, if he was just, you know, the slightest bit of a mistake in those flat turns, Breeden was so on fire with the momentum out of that outside left-hand berm.
See Mick pushing the front end out there, trying to get that beam stopped just in time.
So what at 0.003? That 3,000ths? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's the second one like that. I mean, this course is producing some amazing racing already, so I'm looking forward to working our way up the bracket here.
Ooh, speaking of the bracket, we're going to see Bas van Steenbergen with Mick Hanna. That's going to be nice right now. What do we got here? We got Tegan Cruz and Garrett Meacham, the youngsters. If I remember correctly, they had a pretty tight match up there. Tegan Cruz rocking the pike up front, 80 PSI in that fork. It's kind of fun. You can look at their rebound. He's going 9 clicks, -3 on the high-speed compression, -6 on the low-speed compression. So if you have the same fork, maybe you can kind of just steal his settings there for your next local race. It's obviously working well for the youngster. He's the #3 qualifier out here today, going up against Garrett Meacham, the #6 qualifier. Garrett with 0.5 to make up. Tegan with the advantage.
Tegan with the whole shot. Look at Garrett catches right back up. Another good race. Oh, Tegan's in trouble.
Man.
He's going to have to lay down a heater right here. Look at him pedaling like a madman.
Oh,
he's back. He's back just like that. It's not over for Tegan. Here he comes. He's back up next to him. He needs to calm down, get to the finish line.
Oh my. Look at that. We were talking about 0.5. It's 0.2. So not enough for Garrett Meacham, but wow. Tegan Cruz really, really fought back. It's like when aggression like bites you, you want to be aggressive, but there's a certain point. Coming out of that left-hand corner, Tegan Cruz was so aggressive, he actually lost speed.
After he made that mistake,
here we go.
the amount of speed that he was doing. And look at instantly on the pedals, not going to give up.
Head bobbing.
The entire way down the track the rest of the way. Even getting pedals in those flat off-camber turns there.
Every little element matters. You see Tegan Cruz unclicking there, and you know that played to his favor when he was trying to just chop wood and get back up to speed after that slight mistake, being able to pull up on the pedals as well as push down. But really just the precision necessary in dual slalom is something that the veterans have their head wrapped around. We talked to Thomas Slavic about that. Have a listen.
During the race, we are kind of like speeding up all the time. You're never able to set up a run in the first runs like you do in the finals. You kind of balancing on your own limits and on the limits of the bicycle. And once it gets more and more important, you start crossing that border. The tracks are like 25 seconds. There's no space for any mistakes. If you're not precise, you cannot be a fast dual slalom rider.
He talks about the precision involved and the track being about 25 seconds, but as this racing gets more and more heated, you're seeing those lap times go down. We saw 24 seconds was the fastest time of the day so far, and you get pitted up against somebody like Keegan Wright, you're gonna have to pull out all the stops. So Thomas Slavic, number 2 qualifier, going up against Keegan Wright, the number 10 qualifier. Keegan doing a good job making it this far right now after that 10th place qualification, and he's able to take out Slavic right now. He's got 3/1000ths of an advantage here. He needs a flawless run.
Yeah, the racing today is amazing. I mean, this has been a final a couple of times. This is going to be a good race from start to finish. Neither rider trying to give up an inch, pushing all the way to the limits. Slavic very smooth over the stall wall.
So Slavic knows if he crosses that finish line first, he is in the clear. He does just that. With only 3/1000ths necessary, he puts 1.2 on Keegan Wright and moves in to the round of 4. So Tegan Cruz doing what he needs to do to back up that fantastic qualifying result. The number 3 qualifier will be going up against the number 2 qualifier there, Cruz and Slavic, and then Bas van Steenbergen doing his job, sneaking through, but he'll have to go up against the vet, Mick Hanna. So I like what we have here. You know, we've got our stories playing out of our number 1 qualifier and our number 2 qualifier still in the game, but we've got our veteran in the form of Mick Hanna and then our rookie in the form of Tegan Cruz with equal opportunities to really shake things up and take the win out here.
Yeah, the Slavic and Cruz matchup is going to be really good. You know, veteran against rookie. You know, both are insanely talented individuals. They're going to be putting it all on the line. I mean, all these matchups have been so good so far. I'm just really looking forward to that one. You know, you could see Tegan when he made that mistake on that last run. He knows, he can see and feel the opportunity that's in front of him. You know, he was not going to let that go. The second he made that mistake, he was back on the pedals and gave it 100% to the finish. And if he didn't, he wouldn't have made it. So that's the thing is, like, in a young career like that, it's how you deal with the opportunities you stumble upon. And right now, I think he's doing a really good job.
It's like, here's my moment to light the fuse. Whereas for some of the veterans, it could kind of just be another race. But with that trajectory of a young rider like Tegan Cruz, the younger brother to Lucas Cruz, who was a full-on fixture on the circuit last year when we were doing our other BC bike Crankworx tour, the Cliff Crankworx Summer Series. Lucas Cruz was a name we were talking about a lot. So when I saw Cruz on the quali list, I'm like, that's the wrong first initial, but there's more. This family just cranking out the talent. But like you say, these opportunities, you can't let them pass by because this could be the moment where you can take out those big giants. So if you're enjoying what you're seeing here and you're worried because we're getting close to the final rounds and you don't want Crankworx to end for the day, just go grab that laptop, grab that phone, go to crankworx.com. We've got way more. We got schedules of the upcoming events because as we've talked about today, this is just the start of our BC Crankworx 2021 road trip. Also, you know, if you're a huge Crankworx fan, you want to grab some merch, you can do that on the crankworx.com website as well. And if you're curious about overall point standings, we've got King and Queen of Crankworx overalls. Go to crankworx.com to get your fix. because I know, you know, we're lucky enough to be here. When the broadcast is done, we're going to go get our fix. We're going to get on that chairlift, aren't we?
Yeah, as long as I can get my tire fixed.
Well, speaking of which, Maxxis Tires helping us out, making it all happen out here. A lot of the riders out there riding Maxxis Tires. So big thanks to Maxxis. Take a look.
Hey, I'm Bastian Steenbergen.
I'm Via Verbeek. This is Keelani Hines.
This is Thomas Slavik here.
And this is my Maxxis tire check.
What I run for this slalom race is Minion, DHF, and DHF in the rear as well.
Decided to go for DHR2 for, I know it's a rear tire, but I'm riding it also in the front because it works really well for me here.
I have a dissector in the front and a ardent in the back.
Front, I run a DHF 2.5, and it's a 27.5 tire, while the back is the DHR2. It's a 2.4, and it is a 26-inch tire.
30 PSI in the front, 34 PSI in the back.
24 in the front for tire pressure and 26 in the rear.
These tires I've kind of always run for this bike, and I just feel super confident on them. And this was my Maxxis tire check.
Well, thanks a lot to Maxxis for, you know, supporting the events and getting their riders out here to absolutely shake up the leaderboards. A lot of the top riders out there running Maxxis, and if you're a recreational mountain biker, maybe you race those local races, a lot of interesting tidbits about bike setup to pick up from that little feature right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Some surprising little bits in there, actually.
So this will be good. Via Verbeek, no stranger to the terrain out here at Sun Peak. She was ripping Cliff Crankworx Summer Series just a year ago. And now, Casey Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
They're off. A lot at stake here. Via Verbeek going up against Casey Brown. Last year, Via took the win at Sun Peaks. Casey third.
Casey aced that turn right there where we've seen some riders having trouble, so she's right there, she's in it.
Look at that, Casey.
Yeah, this is gonna go all the way down to the line. No one's letting it go easy. Look at Casey really accelerate out of that turn.
Oh, wow, look at
Via comes right
come
back. Yeah, small mistake out of Casey. Looked like maybe she got a hair off line and had to check up on the brakes a little bit, but man, she's definitely keeping her honest. She's not out of this at all with an advantage by 0.5.
I feel like the off cameras are a little bit more challenging on the rider's left side. There's like that roll after that first gate. So is that potentially where Casey lost that speed? Let's take a look.
Yeah, let's have a look right there. Yeah, you see how her tires came off the ground? I think she was a little wide on the turn.
Yeah,
and had to check up. See,
that was it.
That's one of the most technical parts about that section, the off-camber flat turns, is when you go in, you have this little decompression, so you actually unweight, you lose traction going into the slipperiest part of the track. Yeah, and Via just laid it down.
She obviously lost about a half second there, but she really did a great job not missing that next gate.
Yeah, that would have been a maximum of 1.5, which I think would have been a little bit of a tall order to pick back up on our #1 qualifier, Via Verbeek.
Yeah, it's worth checking up, taking that 0.5, because missing that gate, that is not something you want to have to deal with when you get back up to the start of the course, which is where we are right now with Danielle Beecroft on the downhill bike going up against your #2 qualifier, Keelani Hines.
Keelani using that smaller bike to her advantage, snapping right out of the gate. But Beecroft is right there, keeping her honest. Their right racers are swapping the lead back and forth, they're neck and neck.
Great sound trackside here. I'm trying to listen for shifting and everything. There we go. Danielle Beecroft crossing the line first by 0.19. So there we go. Keelani Hines with some work to do. And I mean, we'd expect that to be a tight matchup right there with the #3 qualifier and the #2 qualifier. There's a lot of consistency out of these two riders, but very, very different bike setups, but still such tight racing.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the advantages and the disadvantages of the bikes really going into play as they're working down the track. You saw Keelani, she got out of the gate really fast with that smaller, lighter bike, but then when the track got rough and traction was really important, Beecroft really sped right up, and that's where she really gained that advantage on that last flat turn section.
So amongst all the riders who compete in so many different disciplines here on the Crankworx World Tour, it seems to be very common for them to favor dual slalom. Bas van Steenbergen, your #1 qualifier, loves dual slalom. We talked to him about it earlier.
Loves the kind of riding that dual slalom brings. Like, I love good turns and rhythm sections and stuff like that. But then there's also the aspect that you're racing against somebody, which like makes it so you're riding like way over what you thought your limit was. And I don't think it's that possible to get that without having somebody there. Like, sometimes you do a run in a slalom race and you're like, man, like, I did not think I could hit that corner that fast, and I would have never tried if I wasn't trying everything to beat this other person.
Well, you know, as you work your way through the day, the pressure rises, the competitors get a little bit faster, and eventually you find yourself in the gate next to a legend, Mick Hanna, the #5 qualifier who knows how to perform under pressure. Bas van Steenbergen, no room for error here.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Both riders solid out of the gate. This is going to be a good one.
Jeez, the amount of speed he carries through that on-off section. Bas van Steenbergen, it's almost like he uses pedaling as a throttle.
Yeah, just accelerating in every section of the track, hopping around the corner there. Mick loses a little bit of a traction there. Slid out, that's going to cost him 0.8, so Mick's definitely not out of it with what we've seen from him today. You know, Baz is still going to have to be super, super on point in this next round to make it to the final.
Well, just like what Bas was talking about in that feature there before they dropped, is when you have somebody next to you, it really does affect the way you ride. And Mick Hanna is not the guy you typically see make a mistake, but he's got Bas van Steenbergen alongside of him, just dancing around, hopping to make these gates.
Yeah,
Let's see what happened.
Just going back to make sure everyone went around the gates. That was amazing how Baz just, it's like he was going to miss it, but he bunny hopped and laid the bike over to make it go around the gate.
I like this angle.
Let's see if we can see here.
So Mick eyes up, trusting that the tires are going to keep their traction, but absolutely pushing those tires to their limits.
You see Baz pop up over there? I couldn't tell from that angle if the front wheel came over the inside of the gate.
Here we go. Oh no, I think he's clean, man, but that is close.
It was
wow.
like he was gonna miss it, and he like hopped in the air and moved his bike around it or something, like a magic trick. Let's see what the judges say. That was a tough one to call.
This could really change things if they.
The back tire definitely went around it, but I don't know if the front did or not. Baz a little nervous there, waiting to see what the judges are gonna say.
All right, we're going to take a look again. Okay, we're looking at that white gate. Bas van Steenbergen wearing the black. Let's see that front tire. What side is it on? Okay, he hasn't quite become lined up with it yet. Oh,
it looks like he's in.
It looks like he does something crazy with his elbows at the last second. That's how precise that rider is. He's able to flick his elbows and make sure that that tire didn't go over the gate. But, I mean, we're looking at a little monitor. We know that our timing and scoring specialists are going to be really using the magnifying glass on that.
Yeah, whether that was in or out, that was amazing bike handling. He was gonna miss it and did like a little whip about 4 inches off the ground to get around it.
I think he's in, Alan. I don't know. I'm getting
Watch, here it
closer
is.
to this
Here it is.
monitor.
Here it is. So he's over. He's definitely out right there. Picks up, and then looks like he gets just to the outside around it.
Come on.
Just to the outside as he went around it.
Drum roll, please. The only thing Bas has to do right now is just smile and wonder. Oh, here we go. We just heard in our headset. He made the gate. So Bas van Steenbergen, we're going to see a big sigh of relief on his face right now once he finds out. Okay, very cool.
I still cannot believe that move we just witnessed. How
that was wild. It's like he's got whiskers or something, right? Like, you know how the cat doesn't run into the wall? It's like Bas is so in tune with that bike. He goes, uh-oh, boop, 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 boop. It's like an autonomous drone with 4K camera sensors. He just wiggled his elbows to get around. That was like...
Yeah, it was amazing.
I don't know if that's something you can even practice for.
We got Tegan Cruz and Thomas Slavic in the gate. The rookie.
Oh, wow.
And the veteran.
Take a look at our fastest times of the day. Things have been ruffled up a little bit. Thomas Slavic now has the fastest time of the day just by an inch there. So Tegan Cruz, the youngster, 15 years of age for another week, going up against Thomas Slavic out of the Czech Republic. This is a potential moment to launch a career here.
Slavic out of the gate hard. A couple different styles there. You saw Slavic pedaling through the rollers and Cruz just choosing to pump. The efforts look pretty equal right now. Oh, Slavic gets a little loose. That's going to give Cruz a slight advantage coming into the flat turns.
Oh, he's going to find some speed down here, Slavic is. Oh, a mistake from Tegan Cruz.
Man, you can see how much both riders are pushing. Mistakes coming from both riders and kind of bringing it back even at the end. Slavic with the .52 advantage. But Tegan and Slavic both, you know, their races were done at one point. You know, they both had amazing saves throughout that run.
So let's take a look back. I mean, they were both pushing so hard, just basically on the verge of mistake the whole time, and kind of one would have a little misstep and then the other one would have a little misstep. They're basically just trading back and forth. But look at this, Tegan in that split was ahead by about 0.15, I think.
And this is where Slavic has a little bit of trouble. A little bit of oversteer, loses the traction in the front, but does everything he can to stay on line.
Crazy save too. There's a lot of slick, unpadded down dirt right there when you get offline. It would be easy to just wash out.
Yeah, and Cruz had about, and the whole bike slid. Yeah, Cruz had about a half a bike length lead up until that little mistake there where he got just a split second behind and ended up running a bit wide.
We haven't even really talked too much about how that final straightaway is going to be changing from lap to lap as well.
It is for sure. The ruts are going to dig in a little bit. Looking at the brackets.
So we've got #1 qualifier, Bas van Steenbergen, with a slight advantage of 0.8 over Mick Hanna. And then Thomas Slavic, just about a half second ahead of Tegan Cruz. Well, let's shift gears over to the women right here, where we're finding ourselves in the same exact situation here. Top racers squaring up against each other. Big points on the line. Casey Brown on the left side of your screen. Via Verbeek, your #1 qualifier, on the right. Via with the advantage.
This is another race where last race, both riders had a couple of mistakes and they came together at the finish for a really tight one. So it's really who can be perfect out there, that precision you've been talking about today, Cam.
Up for grabs there. A half second advantage belonging to Via Verbeek.
Casey looking unbelievably smooth. You can see when she's jumping, she's just barely off the ground, keeping her forward momentum going. Ooh. Pumping the backside of everything she's got. She's looking pretty good right now. So Vaya's gonna have to throw down here.
It's gonna be really close here. 0.5 to play with. Casey Brown by 0.48. Oh my gosh. So close, but not enough. Your #1 qualifier, Via Verbeek, moves
another 0.03.
On to the next bracket. Wow.
Insane. Such good racing. Well, heck of an effort out of Casey. I mean, you know, on paper, she's at a disadvantage on that bike, but man, she made it work the entire day. And you know, we're gonna see her back though. We're not done, are we?
We're far from it. Via Verbeek, your #1 qualifier, moving into that gold medal matchup. The big question is who will she be going up against? But Casey Brown, absolutely keeping her honest there, and you know, almost disrupting this whole final here by just about 1/10 of a second.
And you could see coming off that stall wall, Via saw she was a little bit behind, and that's what slalom's all about, right? You can see that competitor next to you, and it really turns on things you don't know, kind of like what Baz was talking about, and Via really pushed all the way to the finish to make sure she got that.
So Via, you and Baz absolutely leading the charge out there today. You guys have obviously been training hard. What has that process been like for you the past couple months?
It's been actually interesting. Bas is definitely training extra hard. Not saying I'm not, but I just had my own challenges to deal with. But just stoked we're riding finally, and honestly I was surprised to qualify first. We were all super tight, so it's all to play for here today. It's exciting and we're stoked.
It really was. That was a near miss right there. I don't know if you saw the times, but Casey was right there. Were you
totally aware? As soon as it came across, I was like, that looks like 0.5 seconds too.
Well, cool. You're moving on into the big final, so good luck up there, and can't wait to see who you're going to be going up against. Let's check this out.
Thank you.
So Via doing her job, Bas doing his job, the #1 qualifiers. the men's and women's field respectively. And you know, they're pretty close to home as well, so that's gotta also play into things. A lot of these athletes flying over from overseas makes things just extra difficult, but a little added pressure too when you're competing on home soil. You're expected to do well, but they are definitely delivering. And now we're watching our next heat load up into the gate. Danielle Beecroft on that downhill bike, similar setup that gave her the win in 2018 in Whistler. And now Keelani Hines, number 2 qualifier, looking to make it into that final against Via, the number 1 qualifier. And if that happens, that will be really interesting. But also, you know, we're right there with Danielle Beecroft being the number 3 qualifier. So no huge surprises here in our final. Top racers delivering under pressure.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
So Danielle with the advantage, 0.19.
So Keelani using that lighter, smaller bike to her advantage out of the gate, but then Beecroft comes right back with that bigger downhill bike, making it work to her advantage with the traction and the rolling resistance.
All right. Oh! Okay, 0.19. Oh, yeah, she's good.
Yeah, Keelani just keeping Beecroft right there on her side, making sure she didn't get too far in front of her. Ended up pulling out the win there. Going to be advancing, so you know, we're looking pretty good. You know, it's going as planned. The fastest riders are getting down the hill. They're advancing. We're going to be moving to some pretty exciting finals.
So history has a tendency to repeat itself. Will that be the case? Well, we see this you know, this downhill bike that you don't typically associate with dual slalom racing. You're seeing it make it into the finals, but also, you know, the 4th fastest time of the day. But you know what? It really does come down to who you're going up against and how you play your cards. And Danielle Beecroft playing her cards right here against number 2 qualifier. I mean, I would say it's an upset because of the downhill bike and, you know, qualifying lower than Keelani, but she's 3rd place qualifier. She's been strong all day.
Absolutely. And this is where that downhill bike comes into play. You know, she's going to have a little bit softer suspension, so she's going to have a little bit more small bump compliance on the bike. It's going to translate in traction and really getting around those turns without skipping around on some of those smaller bikes.
So we're going to see if history will repeat itself as well. I mean, we talked about how last year here at Sun Peaks, Via took the win, Casey took 3rd, and we're seeing the similar scenario shape up. But over to the men's now. We got Bas van Steenbergen loading up in the gate. He has the advantage.
Definitely not a shoe-in. Mick kept him honest on that first heat. You know, he's gonna want to go down with the fight if he's going down.
So 0.8 back is Mick Hanna behind Bas van Steenbergen.
It's a good opportunity for Bas to get out, get a good start, get a good run, build that confidence into that final round. Last thing you want is to check up because you think you have it, make a little mistake, and blow your confidence.
Mick Hanna, good under pressure. What will the story be here? Mick back by 0.8. Wow, the sounds we're getting off of this race course.
Dude, Bas is on point. That first straight was unbelievable.
Scrub there from Bas. Remember, 0.8. Mick with the nose right now, but will it be enough? It might be. Mick by 0.5, just barely outside of that differential he needed to knock out our number 1 qualifier. But Bas doing exactly what he woke up this morning hoping he was going to do, and that is find himself in the gold medal matchup.
Bas keeping it tight again there at the end. See, that's I don't know if he's checking up or if he's making a mistake, but that was the same spot on the track and the same side of the track on the black where he almost lost it the previous round.
Jeez. I mean, hey, there's something to be said for consistency, but we're cutting it close here, Bas.
And that could be a little bit what you're talking about. That track is going to be developing, and down at the bottom is where it's going to be developing the most. You know, the grass could be gone by now, and we have some wet, slick dirt.
Okay, check this out. We're going to go even slower on this. Watch when Bas loses traction with his tires. He just keeps the eyes up. He accepts the fact that those tires are going to be drifting and just trusts the fact that they're going to hook up in time to make that next gate. He's shaking his head here, did he? All right, it's So Mick Hanna and Bas van Steenbergen definitely representing the established vets. We got guys like Tegan Cruz out there going up against the big dogs. Here's what he has to say about that scenario.
I started racing BMX when I was really young, and then I started racing pump track, dual slalom, and downhill and everything, and it's cool to be able to do it all. Definitely a pretty cool opportunity to be here with the biggest riders in the sport for sure, and just all these amazing riders to watch and learn from, and now I'm racing with them. So it's exciting for sure.
Well, that's what's up. That's what Crankworx is all about. And we've seen Big Bro successful on the tour. We're seeing Little Bro really with an opportunity to create an upset here. He's got a half second between him and Thomas Slavik right now. Can he dig deep? We've seen that he absolutely has the desire. He's pushing harder than anybody out there.
Absolutely. If he can go as hard as he did when he made up that second half of the track from top to bottom, he's got a chance.
You figure out a way to ride like that all the time when you're trying to make up from a... Wow!
Did you see that?
Did you see the roost?
That's exactly what Baz was talking about. I guarantee you he didn't know he could hit that turn so hard. Well, he's catching back up. Slavik does have a bit of a lead, but this is where it's all going to come down to it. Tegan pulls up right next to him. He's pedaling, but Slavik is just too good. He can't hold him off.
Slavik keeping his head on straight. This is not the first time he's found himself in a high-pressure situation. He is very, very cool under pressure, this guy, and he will advance. Slavik and Bas. This is going to be good.
This is going to be a really good final. You can see Tegan sending it for everything he's got right here. Comes into this turn, huge spray. Definitely no braking into that turn, that run. And watch their bikes coming into this flat turn section. I'm noticing a little more chop out of the bikes. I think maybe the track might be deteriorating a little bit, and that's going to play a factor here in these main runs. See him dancing around a little bit there. Slavik gets slightly offline, pulls it right back.
Yo, Thomas, doing exactly what you need to do to back up that #2 qualification. Comparing your qualifying run to right now, how much is that course changing, and specifically down at the bottom on those gates?
You know, track is drying up, so the track is getting really faster. It's a lot of rods on the track, so it's pretty hard. But the bottom part where the flat corners, you can start to pin it, but it's scary because once you just cross the limit just this tiny bit, you're going down and you're losing hundreds of a second. So it's really important to be precise and go kind of like a smooth rounds. Otherwise, you will make a mistake and it's done. But
what do you make about the youngster Tegan Cruz really making you earn it there, giving you a run for your money? The kid's on fire, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on fire. I just told him to finish. Like, so much respect. Such a young kid, and he's flying like I've never seen him before. He's a cool kid. He's also a good character, so that counts more. And then I think he's having a bright future ahead.
New talent on the Crankworx World Tour. Always exciting to see. Exciting to see the #1 and 2 qualifiers going up against each other in the gold medal matchup. So good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, great to have Thomas Slavik out here. I talked to him yesterday. He said it was quite the process making it all the way from the Czech Republic here, but you know what? We'd be missing him if he didn't make it, so we appreciate all the effort to make it here to Sun Peaks, and we're going to have a great final for the men's, and we're going to have a great final for the women's. Take a look at our matchups for the gold and bronze medal rounds, Alan.
Yeah, we got the #1 and the #3 qualifier going for the gold medal round, and #5 and #2 qualifier going in the bronze medal round. That's going to be Brown and Hines. Now, I don't know if you caught it, but when they showed the women's fastest times, Casey actually had the fastest time on the board.
Yes.
So she's not out of the medals yet.
Casey Brown picked up a bronze medal last summer here in Sun Peaks in slalom. So we'll see if history can repeat itself. She's going to have to get past the #2 qualifier, Keilani Hines, though. The bronze medal matchup for the women. Run #1.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Keilani with that BMX heritage, getting that gate. And Casey just turning it on.
You hear her?
Yeah, she's Oh my God, a little offline, but she actually cut the turn and gained some space there. She's really keeping her dial. It's not over yet.
Some good improv out there from Casey Brown. Smooth and steady for Keilani Hines. Yes, pedal. All right,
See, Casey got it right there. She made up some ground on there. She's got that key section figured out.
You know what's funny is we keep seeing her have a little bit of bobbles in, you know, the transition-based section of the course, but then she puts that big bike to use down at the bottom. She's really been consistent at the bottom.
Yeah, such a small rider making the bike do the work. Still able to gain ground on your number 2 qualifier late in the day.
You know Keilani probably isn't 100% pleased to find herself in the bronze medal matchup. She wants to be in that gold medal matchup, so just going with consistency right here, but she's gonna have to dig deep in the run 2 of this bronze medal matchup. So Casey with a star next to her name getting the advantage.
Pardon? Okay.
So make sure to join us for downhill tomorrow, noon local time. That's going to be a blast. I think we're going to have to get out on the downhill course today. Maybe take a run, check it out.
I think you're absolutely right.
Okay, all right. As long as we're on the same page.
We got to know what they're doing.
We got it's research, right? Field research. We've also got pump track coming up later on. Here we go. Next heat.
The recently retired veteran and the 15-year-old rookie. Let's see what kind of show they can put on. This is going to be a good matchup.
So Mick already secured himself his highest Crankworx dual slalom result. Before this, it was a 6, so now he's guaranteed a 4th here, and they're off. Tegan Cruz, Mick Hanna.
Both riders so precise, which is exactly what you got to be on this track. It's hard to see in those shadows, but there's like 3 and 4 inch ruts, so they got to be exactly perfect. Mick really pushing here, and here comes Tegan with his late race charge that he's done all day, but it's not enough for Mick.
See, no mistakes in the flat corners there for Mick Hanna. We saw a little bit of a bobble early on in the previous round, but he learned from that mistake. He's going to cross that line first, have the advantage going into their second run. This bronze medal matchup.
So what did you do in your first week of retirement? Went and battled out for medals in the slalom at Crankworx.
I feel like it was like 3 days ago. We just saw his final World Cup race run. He's already back out here racing.
Well, it just shows, right? He loves riding bikes, you know. Mick's been around bikes his entire life, and it's cool to see him out here having a good time and really putting on a good show and killing it.
Yeah, a guy who's done a lot for the sport. He's definitely done a lot for all other riders around him in the sport, and it's great to have him here at Sun Peaks during our first stop of this amazing road trip we call Crankworx B.C. 2021. Riders from all over the world making their way to BC and checking out some of that soil they may not have sampled in the past. You know, we've been going to Whistler since 2004, so kind of fun to mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the furthest north I've been in BC. You know, usually Whistler was the target, and it's really cool to get out here and see some more of the country.
And everybody got warmed up for practice yesterday. We knew we were off to a great start. This slalom course, the crew out here at Sun Peaks has done a stellar job.
It's kind of the last stretch to the line, the flat turn, so you need to carry as much speed as you can through them, obviously, and you want to be on the pedals, so it's about finding a smooth line. And this one on the left here, there's kind of a bit of a knoll that makes getting back left pretty tricky, so there's been a few people slide out in a couple different lines and a few people trying to figure it out.
It was a muddy one yesterday, to say the least. I want to say it was raining until like 1 p.m. or something like that, and postponed practice a little bit, but the crew did a great job getting the Tiger torches out there, trying to dry things up, and then the sun came out, and we've just got a perfect course here now for our bronze and gold medal matchups for the men and the women here at the Specialized Dual Slalom Sun Peaks.
Yeah, the conditions out there are definitely tricky. I mean, the track is drying up. You heard Slavik saying it's getting faster. But one of the things is those ruts, you know, they've been set, so now they're baking, and they're going to get harder, and you're going to have to be even more precise. So the track is definitely evolving, and the conditions are certainly going to play a part in these final rounds.
Yeah, early on, those ruts are like moldable, so they're just kind of like a rough guideline. Now they're, you know, you better pick one and stick to it.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the game.
Via Verbeek going up against Danielle Beecroft.
Both riders out clean. Beecroft maybe a little bit of advantage going in the first turn, surprisingly.
Whoa, little mistake here in run number 1 of our gold medal matchup. I think
Both riders might have made a small mistake in there.
Kind of evened out, didn't it?
Yeah, Via pulling just a little bit ahead. And this is where Beecroft is going to have an advantage coming down these turns. A little more suspension, softer tires.
Oy.
Slight mistake there.
Pretty tight though,
Yeah.
0.36.
Yeah, it's by no means over.
In favor of Via Verbeek.
Yeah, it's getting late in the day. They walked up that hill, I don't know, 20, 30 times now. Legs have got to be getting tired. Track's getting faster. Adrenaline from the you know, getting all the way to the finals. This is exciting stuff.
That speaks a lot toward the adrenaline factor. You go, how are you riding faster later in the day when you should be completely worked? It's like you just find that extra gear.
Yep.
I mean, every time we watch these slow-mo replays of the gates, it looks like everybody's going to miss a gate.
Yeah,
It's
last second they just swoop around.
a matter of millimeters out there. So Via Verbeek, all smooth sailing so far today. A lot of these riders keeping her honest, but backing up that number 1 qualification results, she's got the advantage going into run 2 of that gold medal matchup.
And you know she's got that Queen of Crankworx standings in her mind, defending champ.
So a little bit different schedule here as you're typically used to seeing on a stop in the Crankworx World Tour. We're kind of rolling multiple venues here throughout the next 10 days. So make sure you join us tomorrow. Sun Peaks Downhill, noon local time here. We're going to have Speed and Style at Kicking Horse being the next event after Downhill. So just 2 events here at Sun Peaks, and then we take the show on the road, work our way over to Kicking Horse. And right now, we're going to take another look at our updated, always updating fast times of the day.
How much time we got?
Thomas Slavic with the fastest time so far, 24.59. And Bass just right there. You know Bass does not like to see the number 2 next to his name, but it's all about this matchup here.
Yeah, just 600s back on that fastest time of the day.
Okay, riders, random start.
So this is Slavic on the black and Steenberg on the white.
Watch the gate.
Gate drops on the gold medal round. Let's see how this goes.
Oh, neck and neck over the split there. Just 0.1 between the 2 of them.
Yeah, Slavic back by 0.1 at the split, but it looks like maybe he has a slight advantage going into these flat turns. Both riders lunging a 0.07 advantage to Slavic. So he did come back in that bottom half. He was 0.1 behind at the split. So Steenberg, again, having a little bit of trouble on those flatter turns.
Very, very tight racing here. Let's take a look back in slow motion.
So there was the split. You could see Steenberg in the lead, and Slavic just rails out of these bottom turns. Watch the acceleration out of Slavic here. Through the flat turns, lunging forward, just edging him out.
You got to wonder, too, if you're Bass Van Steenberg and you've been having issues being so close to those gates, if that plays in, you know, when you're exiting that left-hand corner right before you see those gates, if you're thinking, all right, I've been cutting it way too close now. Play it a little bit safer, but definitely within reach there behind Slavic.
Well, there's no holding back now, right? All the marbles. Riders getting a ride back up to the top of the hill now as we worked our way down the brackets. little bit of an advantage getting that far down the brackets. You get a ride up the hill. I never got a ride up the hill at Sea Otter. I always wanted one.
That's the goal, right? Make it that far to the point where you get to hop in the truck. So look at that, Casey Brown, like you noticed earlier, fastest time of the day for the women.
So she's got potential to make that gap up and secure that second bronze medal.
So Casey Brown, her setup has really been working for her today. We kind of picked her brain on a little insight on how she chose and if she makes any adjustments.
Yeah, I'm a set it and forget it type person. I just set the suspension. Okay, we're good. Good for the year. Yeah, the only thing I really play around with is tire pressure, I think. Depending on the terrain and what the conditions are like, I'll change up tire pressure. But mostly, yeah, suspension stays pretty much the same. Unless I'm hitting really big jumps, then it changes.
That's the free rider talking in Casey Brown right there. Set it and forget it. I don't know, just run it a little bit stiffer than everybody else and just run it.
Yeah, I was having a chat with her, asking if she, what her prep was coming into this series here, this little tour we're doing, and she was like, "Oh, no prep." Gooms and I had like a 4-hour airbag session. She almost pulled front flips. Like, just loving being on the bike. It's cool to see out there.
That's what's up.
And making it work here in the bronze medal round, in contention.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Casey Brown loves the way that bike's rolling, and it's been serving her well all day. She right now has 0.46 to make up behind number 2 qualifier, Keelani Hines. Anybody's game here.
So Casey's just gonna have to ride her own race and stay super focused.
Bronze medal on the line here.
This is where these riders have been tightening up here at the bottom. Let's see what goes down.
What do we got, Alan?
Keelani, slight advantage, but here comes Casey, and Casey misses a gate there. Well, she left it all on the hill, you could see her front wheel. She was starting to gain on her, but it was just a little too much speed, That's what Slavik was talking about. Just the line of traction out there on those bottom turns is so fine. You go one hair over, and, that happens. But
Casey Brown going out swinging. You got to leave it all out there on the table. But Keelani Hines, after a number 2 qualification, grabs that bronze medal and some of those points for the overall.
Yeah, so here, watch Casey. She's coming in full speed, a little hot. You see that back wheel came off the ground a little bit?
Yeah.
And she just ran a little wide. She might have come into that with more speed than she's had all day. And you can see right here, her back wheel comes off the ground, so she's got to initiate that turn just a thousandth of a second later. And, thousandth of a second, like Slavik said, you're going to miss the gate.
If you're going to pick a moment to push too hard, miss a gate, that's the moment right there.
Absolutely.
No, that's the last run of the day. Might as well just come in hot. So 4th place for Casey Brown, 3rd place already determined there for the women.
The young gun and the old dog, but the old dog has got some tricks, doesn't he? He's got that advantage coming into this run.
So interesting tidbit of information here, our bronze medal matchup for the men. One of these athletes is going away with their first ever medal in dual slalom at a Crankworx event. Will it be the youngster Tegan Cruz or the vet Mick Hanna? Mick Hanna over Cruz by 0.8.
Out of the gate, Mick's not gonna sit on that 0.8 gap at all. He's gonna push it all the way to the finish. Tegan's gonna keep him honest. Let's see what Tegan can do. This is an opportunity for him. He's on the world stage. So smooth out of that shark fin.
Oh, Mick looking strong.
Look at the patience out of Mick. Nice. What a run.
There we go. Mick Hanna grabbing 3rd place and that bronze medal, but Tegan Cruz 100% proving that he belongs out here and giving Mick Hanna a run for his money. But the veteran, cool, calm, collected under pressure. Congrats to Mick on that bronze medal.
Yeah, thumbs up, Mick. That was nice. So stoked to see Mick get up there and get a medal. And Tegan, I'm looking forward to seeing him progress not only through his career, but I mean, we're just getting started on this tour, so we might see him back up there.
Oh yeah. I'm sure we'll see him in downhill as well. Both of these guys I'm sure we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So there we go. We're giving out hardware. We've given away 2 bronze medals here. Now let's change the color of the medal. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Gold and silver still up for grabs for both the women and the men as we load our top competitors back up to the top of the course and really kick off this Crankworx B.C. 2021 road trip on the right foot, the way we love to start all Crankworx festivals. Dual slalom racing head-to-head. Some riders on downhill bikes, some riders on trail bikes. Slalom-specific rides.
Good luck.
And good sportsmanship all across the board here as our final heat for the women loads up into the gate via Verbeek, #1 qualifier. Danielle Beecroft, #3 qualifier.
Your 2019 Queen of Crankworx in the gate, looking for her gold medal run.
Look at this, Vaya's got the 3rd and the 4th fastest times.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Vaya Verbeek with the advantage of 0.3. Oh boy.
Both riders getting a little loose out of that section.
Same as first run.
That really dark corner back there, I think it might be playing a little bit of havoc on them.
Choose your goggle lenses wisely today. So Vaya Verbeek with 0.3 to play with. The top qualifier on the day. Can she take home the gold? The clock will determine. She does it. Vaya Verbeek backing up that #1 qualifying position and grabbing the gold medal.
Yeah, that was an amazing race out of Vaya. Both riders making a mistake, but not getting flustered, getting right back on the pedals and putting the power down. Being able to salvage a good run on both sides and keep it a fair race all the way to the bottom.
How funny to hear them both make a mistake in the same section.
So here they come. They really accelerate off that step down into this sharp left, and both riders slip out a little bit off the shark fin. Beecroft almost goes off track, somehow gets back around. And then you see Vaya getting back on the pedals to make up that time.
Well, good saves all across the board out of that left-hand berm into that shark fin, and then, yeah, just no room for air in those gates. But Vaya Verbeek leading the charge all day. Vaya, congratulations on taking the gold here, getting your week started off on the right foot. Slalom's got to be one of your favorites, but how much are you looking forward to downhill tomorrow?
I am, and air downhill this afternoon too. Like, all of it is just so good. Sun Peaks delivers, the weather's delivering, so honestly it's good times. But Donnie and I were just talking about how there's 10 days of racing ahead of us, and that sounds crazy.
Yeah, which one of these locations are you most excited to ride?
All of them deliver different things. I think Kicking Horse was kind of scary. It's kind of scary with the psychosis racing. So as much as I love it, I kind of am most scared about that one. But Sun Peaks was, I think, the one I was looking forward to the most. It's just so fast. It's so good.
Sun Peaks has been good to you the last couple years, so congratulations on taking the win, and let's carry that momentum into the next 10 days of racing.
Thank you, guys.
There we go. We've delivered some hardware for the women's field. Gold, silver, bronze, already determined. Now, one more race for the men here, and it comes all the way down to this. Similar scenarios we just saw play out for the women. #1 qualifier making it into the gold medal matchup. Let's hear this banter.
The first runs were kind of intense, I would say. More intense than the finals.
All right, faster on black, close to me.
All right, so to get us all back up to speed with what our differential is, let's take a look back at run #1 between these two in our gold medal matchup. Bas van Steenbergen and Thomas Slavik. Slavik there wearing red.
Yeah, both riders are going to be swapping positions throughout this race. Watch their front wheels just pushing it, everything getting laid out on the track. And right here, Baz was just 0.3 ahead, and you can see Slavik just putting down the horsepower all the way to the finish line. Ooh. Getting into this key section.
Man, I could watch these guys ride bikes all day. Unfortunately, we only get to watch them do one more run, but this is what we show up for. This is that high pressure situation, winner take all. Thomas Slavik out of the Czech Republic. On the left side of your screen, Bas van Steenbergen. Can he take the gold medal and back up that #1 qualification result?
Okay, riders, random start.
All on the line. Baz has got to be thinking about those last 4 turns.
0.07 in favor of Slavik. They are off and running. Jeez, that looks fake.
Baz is just laying down the power, both riders, putting it all down. Look at Baz. That's the hardest I've seen people pedal up that hill. But Slavik is right there. No one's got an advantage.
Flawless so far out of both of these riders. Baz knows he needs to make up 0.07.
He's looking good. Come on. Let's see
Here
how
we
it
go.
goes.
I think he's going to do it. 0.1. Bas van Steenbergen does it. Down to the wire. He takes the gold medal. That was killer.
That was exactly what Baz needed to get this tour kicked off.
Oh, man, that was too cool.
Amazing racing. Look at him. Double fist pump while still on the course. You know, if this was a judged event, we'd deduct points, but it's okay.
That's the way you like to see it go, you know, like tight racing, no mistakes, just straight up drag race. I can't even really find any flaws, no mistakes between either of those riders. And, I mean, both of them, that is their approach, is
Watch
just
how
sprint.
Hard. Look at how hard Baz pedals everywhere. Slavik also.
Like when we watch it in slow-mo, it looks normal speed when they're pedaling because both these guys have the ability, just the RPMs that they're cranking.
That was one of the things I was hearing some of the riders talk about earlier, is knowing when and where to shift. Another piece of this course that was a bit of a differentiator. But look at everything down to the line, stretched out completely. Man, that was a good slalom race.
Bas, congratulations. You had the pressure of the #1 qualification, and they made you earn it. It wasn't an easy cakewalk. Was that the hardest heat right there, the final run against Slavik?
For sure. He's so fast. I have so much respect for him, and he's like always good. So, yeah, I'm stoked to get that, and that was a sweet race.
So in the gate at the top for that last run, you were behind a little bit, and was that messing with your head at all?
Honestly, it may have even taken some pressure off. Like, the first run, I was way too tense, so I kind of flinched on the gate, and then the second run, I was like, all right, just whatever happens, happens, and just have a good run, and worked out.
Top dog all day, grabbing that gold medal and some of those points, and we're really looking forward to seeing you on the start list for all the rest of the events throughout the week. I'm sure you're going to be participating in pretty much everything, correct?
Yeah, everything. It'll be sweet. We got a race in like 2 hours, so that'll be gnarly, but
hey,
it should be fun.
you can celebrate for a whole nother 25 seconds. We'll let you have that, and then back down to business. Congratulations, Bas.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate it.
That was some racing, Alan Cook.
That was some amazing racing. You know, different bikes, different you know, heritage in the sport. We got new guys, we got retired guys. Let's look at the bracket here and see how it all shook up.
Come on, I mean, it could have all gone sour for Bas in heat #1 of the quarterfinals. He went up against Ben Sink, and it was very, very tight. But you know what we saw is what we were hoping to see, and we talked about it at the top of the show, is #1 going up against #2. That was the case for the men's field, with #1 taking the gold. But you know, I can't wait to watch this Tegan Cruz character as we progress throughout the next 10 days of competition. I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg of that talent.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's arrived on the scene. I think it's official, you know, and just being out of the medals, he's going to be hungry going into the rest of the events. And that can do a lot for a rider, is being hungry. You know, it's almost better that he didn't just come into his first event, get right on the podium. Like, he's hungry now, and I think we're going to get to see a lot of exciting riding out of him for the rest of this tour.
We will keep the story rolling as we join back up with you tomorrow for the downhill. Of course, you heard Bas say it just moments ago. There's more points on the line today, so they're going to get up there to the top of the chairlift, raise some air downhill. We'll have an updated King and Queen leaderboard for you tomorrow when we pick things up for downhill, 12 o'clock local time. But I'd say we're off and running on this Crankworx BC 2021. We absolutely have to thank everybody making this possible. Camelback 7 mesh. Of course, Sun Peaks Resort, SRAM, RockShox, Maxxis, the whole bike park crew here at Sun Peaks. Sean Melnichuk for creating an amazing slalom course there. Cliff Bar, keeping everybody fed these long days of competition. You know, it's not easy to put together an event these days, so we have to thank our sponsors till we're blue in the face for, you know, putting together the hard work to pull it off. And we got to thank you for joining us here. Crankworx B.C. 2021, just the tip of the iceberg. We've got a ton more coming your way downhill tomorrow. Thank you, Alan Cook, for joining me up here in the booth, and we'll see the rest of you tomorrow, noon. Don't miss it.